Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, it's Bugs. And this is like a highlight moment for me because this is a man that I was a fan of. I said, most of the people I interview, Smokey, are people that I've met or have gotten into business after I've gotten on the radio, and I've been doing this now over 40 years, as from a kid all the way up. You're my first interview, one of my first interviews outside of Barry White and a few others. But Barry came later on in my life in the 70s. Yeah. You have been a part of my life my whole life. The moment I knew anything about girls, and before I was dating, what we used to do with Smokey Robinson songs. My cousin and I, rap now is making a record or whatever. Rap back then was talking to a girl and trying to get her to be your girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And you had to know how to say the right things on the phone. and mom and dad was a little stingy with that phone if you was on there a long time. Not like it is baby. Now. But we would put one of them Smokey records on, and whatever you said in the thing, you on the phone, yeah, mom, you might be cute, but that chick's just hanging out. She's just kind of the great Smokey Robinson is in the building, everybody.
Oh, Bugsy.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you.
Hey, man, it's good to be seen.
All right.
I have seen over 30-something of your performances.
Oh, thank you.
Television and live. The Miracles days, Mickey's Monkey.
Oh, baby.
And you were working, and it was a period where the stand-up singing groups worked just as hard or harder as the up-tempo solo groups, the solo artists.
Sure.
You had to have the steps together, but
you had to have it.
Even though you had the feet working, but you had to have the top rocking. How exhaustive was that?
Oh, man, it was exhaustive, Bugs, but you're young, man, so you're not thinking about it as exhaustive. You think about you doing what you love, and you're having a good time doing it, and it's the job that you dreamed about as a kid. And so that's what's going on. We used to do 35, 41 nighters, man.
That's right.
Yeah. No way in the world I could do that now.
No way in the world. A lot of people can do that anymore because even the newer acts can't do that.
Yeah, man.
And still be fresh because, now you're saying, those one-nighters, 30-something one-nighters, every show had to be perfect.
No question.
And every show may not have been perfect for the group, but as the audience member, we never knew,
Yeah, man. And then you jump around from place to place on a daily basis. That was rough, man.
You get to the city, you don't even know what city you're in.
No question about it. But like I said, you have to be young to pull that one off, man.
The songwriting, how did it get to the point where you wrote all the songs for a lot of the major artists? I had a cousin, Gil, and he would swear that Don't Mess With Bill was about him. He said, no, that says Don't Mess With Gil. There's made it seem like it was Bill. And one of the songs a lot of people don't know about by the Marvelettes, The Hunter Gets Captured by the Game.
Yeah.
It's like, and when you hear the word twists, when you talk about somebody being a songwriter, you're a poet laureate. You're not a songwriter. You've always been a poet laureate as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Where did that come from? Did it just happen for you to be able to write the way you write?
Bugs, I tell people all the time, man, I think that God gives everybody gifts. Everybody gets a gift.
Yes.
Some people never discover their gifts. Some people discover their gifts and squander them and so on and so forth. Some people discover their gifts and then change to something else. But everybody gets a gift, And I just think that one of the gifts I got was to be able to write songs and to rhyme words. And
my God.
I love it. It's a part of me. I've been doing it since I was 6 years old, man.
Okay, got it. So you had the composition book, and you was writing on the back of paper bags and everything else?
I still do that, man. I got some little notes and paper bags for titles that I've written that said that would be a good song or a part of a verse or something like that. It's still there, man.
You call them those skeletons, those bones. You come back, what is this? What does it say on this paper bag? Let me put some more lyrics to that. Mm-hmm. When you had to leave the Miracles, when you left the Miracles, was that a moment for you where it was something you really had to do, or was it something that you didn't want to do? You wanted to work behind the scenes and do everything there at Motown. Was that a move that you had to make?
Well, yes and no. That is the answer to that question, man. I didn't have to make it because of any other reason other than the fact that I wanted to. Mm-hmm. So I had to make it because I wanted to, because the Miracles and I had been on the road, man, since I was like 16 years old.
That's right.
And we had done everything a group could do 2 or 3 times. You know what I mean? We've been all over the world, did all that. And I was actually going to retire a year before then. I retired basically because my oldest son and my daughter were finally born. Claudette was my wife at the time. She was the girl in the group. She
Yes.
was my wife at the time. And her being on the road and us traveling around like we were traveling, talking about all those one-nighters and that stuff.
Yes.
We had 7 miscarriages, man,
Wow.
before my oldest son was born.
Wow.
When my oldest son was born, that struck something in me, man. And then 2 years later, my daughter was born, and I told the guys, and see, we had been together since, I met Ronnie and Pete when I was 11 years old.
Right. His neighbors.
And Bob and Claudia when I was 14, so we've been together forever. So I told the guys, I say, hey, man, because my kids were born, and I told them, I say, hey, man, I'm going to retire next year. They laughed at me, man. They laughed
Because they didn't think you wanted to do it.
No. They laughed at me because, like I said, we were brothers, man.
Right.
Oh, yeah, man, you're right.
Oh,
Okay,
you just mad for the day. You'll be all right.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool, man. I see you tomorrow.
Right,
So they laughed
right.
at me. But I was really serious about that. And then Tears of a Clown came out. And Tears of a Clown, to this day, man.
That was the
is
Stevie
biggest,
song, right?
Yeah, the Stevie song.
Yeah.
It's the biggest single record that I've ever been associated with
Wow.
to this day.
Wow.
So millions of copies all over the world. So that came out, and they came to me and say, man, you definitely ain't quitting now because our salaries are going up, all that stuff. So I agreed with them. I said,
So
yeah,
you
I'll give you
stayed.
another year. But I told them, I said, during this year, I want y'all guys to be looking for somebody to take me because at the end of this year, I'm done. I'm really done.
Right.
So they started auditioning guys from all over the country, and they finally came up with this guy, Bill Griffin from
Billy
Baltimore.
Griffin. Yeah.
And so Billy traveled with us for about 4 or 5 months before I retired. And then I just retired, man, because I was vice president of Motown. I had a job.
Right.
So I was cool. And,
You knew you had a 9 to 5 and you could rock that 9
exactly,
to 5 for a
man.
minute, not get on that bus.
Yeah, and not do any of that. My plan was to never, ever do it again.
And folks, I got to tell you something. During that time, it wasn't a McDonald's or Burger King. So when you were on the road, you had to eat where you needed to eat, and
where
you had to find
eat where you could.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
then
And stay where you could.
and then too, you had the civil rights situation that was
Exactly.
happening, in which we lost Harry Belafonte.
Yeah, we
this
did,
week.
man. That was
And-
a blow to me.
and-
I loved Harry.
Yeah.
And I was even though at his age, for him to pass away, I was still shocked.
Oh, absolutely. For all the work that he did and things that
Absolutely.
that he opened up doors. But at that time, being on the road wasn't like being on the road now. A lot of you artists got it good because back then you had to only go certain places. And because of Motown's connection, they were able, if you went to Boston and you couldn't get a room, you had to call the home office and somebody would call back and get everybody in those rooms. Oh, wait a minute. We got some rooms for you now. I'm sorry. We apologize.
Well, that didn't happen to us, man.
No.
No, we had to go to the other side of town, to the black side of town, and live in rooming houses.
Wow.
We went over to the black side of town. We lived in rooming houses. They had rooming houses over there, and some of the rooming houses were set up like I was married, Jerry Butler was married, Chuck Jackson was married, and we had our wives with us.
Yeah.
And some of the times we went to those rooming houses, and our wives had to stay in separate houses than us because all the girls had to stay one
Got
place,
it. That's
and the
right.
guys had to stay
Right.
one place. It was rough, man.
It was rough on the
Yeah,
road then
yeah.
compared to what it is
It
now. I
really
see
was.
guys. I've been on the road.
And nowadays, see, there's no chitlin circuit.
That's right.
See, these kids don't know what that is. They would never experience that.
That was them spots where you had to make sure you had somebody on the road with you to go collect your money when the show was
Yeah,
over
and you were scared to
before
go in there to perform.
That's right.
So
That's right.
so I've been in some of those places. So there's none of that nowadays, man.
And also from the standpoint of as big as the artists were at Motown, you had a mass appeal audience, white and black, everybody together,
Mm-hmm.
and you had that segregation going on in some of those towns. Those forefathers in those towns didn't like the idea
Oh
that
no!
he was bringing
Oh
everybody
no!
together.
Oh no! They
So
didn't.
that road work was tough.
It
What
was rough.
what when you got to the point after you left the Miracles, what was the decision when you said, let me get back and do another album and just give it a shot? What motivated you to do that?
Well, man, like I said, when I left them, I was still vice president of Motown, so I moved out to Los Angeles and set up my office and started to do corporate stuff and do a bunch of corporate stuff. And I was very happy doing that at first because it was just like a new day. I'm starting a new life. There's a new day, and I'm going to go to office and I'm gonna do this.
And home by 7.
I'm doing all that, and I see my kids every day. And so it was cool, man, for about the first 2 years. And then I started to get miserable on the inside because I missed being in show business. I missed being on stage. I missed recording. I missed singing. I missed all that, But I missed it, man. But I didn't say anything to anybody about that. Because Barry had counted on me to come out here and do, what I was supposed to be doing as vice president and all that. and I didn't want to tell him, and I didn't want to tell my wife. I didn't want to tell anybody, but I was miserable inside, man. I used to sneak and go to little clubs just to see somebody on stage.
Just to see new talent, just to get motivated.
I wouldn't care if it was new, old, what it was. Just I saw somebody on stage performing, and I used to do that, man. And so one day, Barry just came and put me out, man. He said, you know, he's my best friend, and he said, hey, man, you miserable. You
He
get
could
out
tell.
here.
Yeah,
you get out
that's
here.
your boy.
Yeah, you get out of here, man, because, you know, he said, when I see you miserable, it makes me miserable. So I need you to get out of my face. So I did, man, and I wrote the Quiet Storm album, and that was my debut back in the show business.
Man, you know, that song just won't go away, will it? Because
I hope not.
us folk in radio have adopted that Quiet Storm.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
you know, Melvin Lindsay,
Melvin
God bless
Lindsay,
the brother
my
down
man.
in D.C.
Lindsay.
He was one of the first guys at WHUR to do the Quiet Storm
Yeah.
and set it off. And we've got one here, WBLS with Vaughn that started.
Yeah.
New York was late because, you know, New York was always kicking down doors and rattling the pots and pans. We didn't slow down in New York until like 1983 or 1984. And the Quiet Storm started here with the late Vaughn Hopper, my big brother. But around the country, there are Quiet Storm programs,
Quiet Storm
and
stations,
they all use the song
Yeah.
as the theme song.
That's beautiful, man. I never expected that, you know.
But you had another song on there that was the wedding song for Jermaine
and Hazel.
and Hazel,
Barry's daughter, yeah.
yeah. That whole album was beautiful.
Thank you, man.
From side one all the way back over the side when you flip over the side too.
Thank you.
And I think that for a lot of people, we always go, yeah, well, you know, when people leave the group, it's never the same. But your writing even was kicked up a notch on that Quiet Storm album because, you know, usually you go, yeah, well, you know, one of the guys did that and the other guy wrote that. But then now it was a whole album with everything on there from you, and you were doing it, the vocals, the backgrounds, and all that. And the lyrics was just mesmerizing. I mean, I think
Thank you, man.
part of why that Quiet Storm album, people, you need to pick it up, stream it as they do now, to listen to that entire album because you'll find every cut on that album is amazing. There may be some songs you're not familiar with, but you'll find that Smokey touch on all those lyrics, man. It just hook you right in. You know, you think he's gonna sing you in another direction, and the hook comes and takes you someplace else. You know, that's the beauty in your writing. And I was happy to see when you went on the road on that tour.
Yeah.
And your shows were so live at Radio City Music Hall. I saw you a couple of times.
Yeah, I was happy about that too, man, because I didn't know how the world was going to even look at me or accept me coming back as a solo artist. And it was rough for a while for me, man, just psychologically. I'd be looking over to the side expecting to see the guys over there and stuff, you know, and they weren't there. So, but it was, you know, it was what I needed to do at that point.
You know, Smokey, your stage show has always been about the songs. You've got people who can do the songs back to back to back to back and get off the stage and good night and they're off. You do a couple of songs and then you break down and talk right to the audience. It's like you feel like you're sitting. When I come to see when I see a Smokey Robinson show, I don't feel like I'm in the audience. I feel like I'm sitting on the stage with you and you're singing and say, yeah, now here, Fred, now here's one of the songs that I want to do it. And,
Cool,
and
man.
how was that part of, because even with the Miracles, you didn't do it as much, but was that part of,
Yeah,
that was just you being you?
It really was. It was my plan coming back. I just said that I was just going to try to be personable with people and talk about things that they would want to hear, talk about my life and all that, because I think it's a part of what people come to see and hear, man. You know, so I had a lot more leeway being a solo artist than I did.
You had the freedom. You didn't have to debate. You know, I tell people now, you know, you've got a deficit when it comes to singing groups because the majority of the artists now, whether they're great singers or not, they all want to be solo artists because they want the check to come to them.
Well, you see, the reason for that, Bugs, is the fact that most of them are solo artists. Most of your groups now that you see, they're put together.
Yes.
See, back in my day, man, you sang with cats that you grew up with.
Right.
You singing on the street corner with these dudes. You knew them from the time you was in elementary school, that kind of stuff. And that's the way the groups were made up then.
Right.
You know, everybody knew each other. They were, you know, but nowadays, some guy will get a guy from Chicago who sings really well, and mix him with a dude from New York, and they got a dude from Philadelphia, and a guy from L.A. and put them together, and they just meet each other when they become a group.
Good point.
So they don't have any staying power, or any loyalty to each other. Well, as far as that goes, because they just met each other, and they were all basically solo artists, so that's what they want to do.
Right.
They're in the group to make some money or to become popular.
Or to use that to get to that next level. Now, the kids Drew Hill, I interviewed them their first time out, and I said to them, I said, yo, man, y'all are dope. I said, now this kid here, pointing at Cisco, I said, he's your lead singer. I said, but y'all guys got to know how to jump in and out, go out, come back in. Because what I find now, there are a lot of solo artists that kind of need to be in a group right now. They kind of do need to be in a group. Man. Everybody's not a solo artist. Let's be real about the situation. That's what made it beautiful about when you guys came up, because as you said, you came up together.
Yeah.
The bad thing in putting the group together, the individuals together, there's no real vibe. So when you get to that point in your careers as a group, as it inevitably happens with anybody, you're going to fall out. You don't want to talk to the person for a moment. You come do the gig. I was on the road with a couple of hip-hop artists who came up together. I'm not going to mention their names, but one guy would stay on one side of the hotel. The other one was staying in the other part of the hotel.
I know a few like that, man.
Yeah, it's like
I know a few really popular people who
that's it. But when they get together to work, they seem like they were together. But so it's harder now, to your point, for groups who have been put together to really stick to it, because when they get that opportunity to get away, they fly.
Absolutely, because that's what they've done. They've taken 4 or 5 guys who actually want to be solo artists and put them together as a group just to give them some popularity and to make some money.
Tell me about the new album, GASM.
The album GASMS, man, is
what is GASMS?
GASMS is whatever you want it to be, babe. I left it like that.
There you go. There you go.
I left it like, so whoever hears GASMS, or they make it what they want it to be. It's like I akin this album to when I did the song Cruising.
Yes.
Okay. And people still, some come to me and hey man, when you said cruising, you meant so and so, didn't you? I said, no, I mean whatever you mean.
That's right.
Whatever you mean when you were cruising with your, that's what I mean.
Whatever cruising means to you.
So that's what I mean by GASMS.
Got it.
Whatever that means to you. That's what I'm talking about.
You got 9 songs in this album?
Yes, 9 songs, and I try to make all of them a gasm, man. And all of them with that same, leeway. You can make it whatever you want it to be. Lyrically, you can make it whatever you want it to be according to the lyrics that are there.
What I love about it is that you could have said, I'm not making another album. That's it. Just go grab my older stuff. You love it. You love it. You love it. You don't love it. You don't love it. And that's it. I'm just going to do the gigs and do these other songs that I've been doing for the last 40 years, last 15 years. But the last time you had an album was...
an original song album?
Yeah.
It had to be 10, 12 years
10
ago.
12 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what made you come to the point where you said, let me do another album. Let me feel it.
Because I'm always working, man. I'm always doing it. I'm always fiddling around in the studio and writing songs, and I love that, man. So I don't want to give up on being in the record business, because I'm not planning on retiring from show business or retiring from doing concert stuff ever again.
As long as you can move. As long as I can move. Moving, that voice is rocking. We singing.
Yes.
Tell me about the single.
Well, the single is actually the first single from it is called "If We Don't Have Each Other," and the idea was given to me by a young man who used to sing with me, actually. Ooh. And he has a little band. He lives in Nashville now.
Okay.
And he has a band, and they sent me a skeleton of that song. And he had "If We Don't Have Each Other," and he had made it a general song, like for the public. If we don't have each other, the world should come together.
Right.
It was that kind
especially
of thing,
after 2 years of COVID and everything else that we were going through.
So I heard it, and the track what they had, which I had to do over again. The track was sensual to me. It was kind of jazzy and sensual and stuff.
And got a little 1-2 step to it. I listened to it earlier. Yeah.
So I wanted to make it something personal. So I just changed the song around, and that's where the song came from.
The new label you're with?
Oh, yeah, TLR. I'm really excited about that. The main reason I'm so excited about it, man,
Why is that, Smokey?
Because it reminds me of when I met Barry before he started Motown, and then the energy when he started Motown and what was happening there on the ground floor. Now, I'm the same thing with TLR.
Okay.
I'm the only artist they got right now.
Got you.
So rather than me signing with some other label, because I had some offers from some of the
I'm sure
big
you
labels, but I would have been one of 1,000 artists.
You want to get lost in the
You
sauce.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now I'm the first artist, and everybody, the concentration is on my music and on me and stuff, and I can't beat that, man.
No, you can't.
And it's somewhat the guy Corey Rooney, who is the head guy.
Corey Rooney, yeah, Corey,
is my man. He's
That's my, that's Brendan, what's his name, son?
Yeah.
The Exciters, Brendan and Herbie's son. They're from around, it's my neighborhood,
All right, then.
They're from the neighborhood. Corey did the work, early Mary J. Blige work and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's my man.
Great brother, great young
absolutely.
producer. I mean.
And I got, they have great people there, and I'm so happy that I'm surrounded by people like that, and I'm the first artist, and the concentration goes there. And that's why I did it, man.
You know, it's funny. I didn't even know Corey. I didn't even know that was Corey's label until you just said it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about Corey, I will tell you that he came up with Brenda and Herbie, the Exciters. They had a song called Tell 'Em That You're Never Gonna Leave. Mm-hmm. That was the Exciters.
Yeah.
And my cousins, I come out of the Queens, New York. We had the bands, and I used to play a little bass in the band and all that.
Yeah.
But Corey and those cats, man, Corey came up under Brenda and Herbie. And the whole family, his brothers and sisters played. He's the one that came out and really stuck to it. And when the hip hop R&B was starting to happen, he did that. But one thing I'm gonna tell you about Corey, always been a great person.
Oh, he's a great person.
Great guy, and
plus the label
really have
being
love.
distributed by Warner Brothers,
Fantastic.
So, yeah, man.
Absolutely great.
I'm totally excited.
Had I known Corey was there, I wouldn't have even had to ask you why you had to change, why you went to the label.
Exactly.
Damn, that's
Yep.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about Corey is he understands who you are. It's like he's not.
That's another great thing.
He's
about
not
it, man.
trying to tell you.
No. And TLR is, we got a real music man at the helm.
That's right.
That's what happened with Motown.
Yes.
Barry
I
was
see
a
why
music
you
man.
say. I see why
see
you
what I'm
say the
saying?
connection. Absolutely. Yeah, Corey's a beast. Oh my gosh, great. How can they find the album? I know you've got your social media. And all that.
It's online, and the 28th, which is a couple of days from now, it's coming out officially.
Right.
And they can just get it online on my website. And
It's going to be Friday. 28th is Friday, is
yes.
it? 28th Friday. Look out for GASMS. It's brand new. Smokey Robinson. 9 cuts on the album. Do you I go back and I'm thinking about this. A friend of mine just went up to Detroit and saw the studios at Motown and he goes, man. He says, yeah, I can't believe they made the songs they made on that equipment they have up there.
Yes, exactly.
Because the people today look at whatever equipment's available now.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, but you got to remember what they used up there, what you saw was state of the art for that time.
For that time.
I said,
in a room about big as this room that was in.
That's right. I said, and at that time,
Garage.
as long as they can get the control board in there, that was going to make that a studio.
Well, you know what we did, man? Barry bought the Hitsville house. We were searching for houses and stuff like that. So he finally settled on the Hitsville house because the garage was attached to the house.
That's right. Got it.
So we bought it and tore out the kitchen, which was the last room in the house. Kitchen became the control room, and the garage became the studio. Put a big glass window in there like that.
Right.
So and the garage became the studio, and the kitchen was the control room.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, Vlad was asking you about stuff, and you told the Diana Ross story. And folks like, man, why did he say that? I said, no, you don't understand. I said, the 60s was different than where we are now. I said, yeah, there were certain things that happened. I said, but family, everybody was family. Everybody was hanging out. I said, it was a different vibe. I said, that's how they were able to find certain people they found, they brought in. Diana came through. They put the girls together.
Well, Diana lived right down the street from me, man.
Right.
I've known Diana since I was 12 years old. Man.
Right.
And she lived right down the street from me. And eventually she moved away. And after she moved away to the Bruce Projects, Motown started, and we've been going for about a year or so. And she called me.
Right.
And said, Smoke, I got a group I want you to hear, and blah, blah, blah. So they came and sang for me. And I couldn't sign them up. Barry wouldn't let me sign them up when they first came and auditioned for me, although I loved them. And I'd known her since we were kids.
Right.
Because they were still in high school.
That's right.
And he told me, he said, you can't sign them now because they're still in high school, and I don't want to get into another situation.
The whole thing
like
with
Stevie.
the kids, that's right.
Like Stevie.
Yeah, 18, nobody wants to sign anybody under 18.
Yeah, because Stevie, when we traveled, Stevie had to have a tutor. And
Right.
this
You had
and
to spend
that,
more money on the road with him than everybody was making.
Exactly. So he didn't want to do that. But when they graduated, I took them over, and they got signed up, and,
And the rest is history.
The rest is
They're amazing.
history.
What's so amazing about the whole Motown story, man, that knocks my brain out, is that with all the talent that was there and all the talent that was produced in Soul Records, there was so many other others that didn't make it in that equation, but they found other things to do throughout that period. You know, you had Dennis that became a part of the Dennis that became one of the guys in the Temptations.
Yes.
He was the fill-in guy for the Contours. He hadn't cut with the Contours, but he was able to go on the road with the Contours. At that time, Dennis didn't have a career.
That's right.
And when David left and Dennis got into Temptations, it was like, where does Dennis guy come from? He had always been at Motown the whole time.
Martha, our A&R director was a guy named Mickey Stevenson.
Yes.
And Martha
You
was
and Mickey
Mickey's
got a lot of
secretary.
history together.
Martha was Mickey's secretary, you know, and then she wanted to sing, and she had a group, and she called her group the Vandellas because she lived on Van Dyke Street, and Della Reese was her idol.
Right.
So she called them that, but quite by accident, man, because Mickey Stevenson and Marvin Gaye had written Dancing in the Streets for Kim Weston, who was Mickey Stevenson's wife at the time. And Kim didn't like it. And they had Martha to sing the demo record for, so the record that went is the Dancing International Anthem all over the world.
Yes.
When Martha singing Dancing, it was a demo for Kim Weston.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, even though Motown wasn't political, but the Dancing in the Streets was hitting at the time. We had the civil unrest. And it became, although it was about dancing and having a good time, but it became the, how can I say, the theme song for folks, black folks, coming to realization about what they needed and letting folks know that they were not happy about it. I mean, it became that. It wasn't meant to be that, but it was adapted as that.
Yeah, but it was adopted by everybody, man. That song just took off all over the world.
The Marvin Gaye story was always interesting to me, too, about the What's Going On album. Yeah. And it wasn't supposed to come out, but then when it was released, it was crazy.
Well, yeah, it was. You know, I think it's probably the biggest album Motown ever had. You know, I'm not really sure about that, but I know that I heard it through the grapevine by Marvin was the biggest single we ever had.
Right. You know my favorite grapevine.
Gladys?
That was my favorite grapevine.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. We used to argue about that here.
Well, a little known fact in the music world is that the first people to ever record I Heard It Through the Grapevine was the Miracles and me.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Norman Whitfield would come and he said, I got this song, man, and he recorded it on us. I thought it was terrific, but the company thought it was too funky for us.
Got you.
And they didn't put it out.
Norman Whitfield, folks, is the guy that did the Temptations transition from the ballads and the softer side when they went psychedelic after David left, the Cloud 9 era and Undisputed Truth. And
well, he did the great stuff on them while David was there, man.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't Too Proud to Beg. And,
Ain't Too Proud to Beg, right. A couple of your songs that you wrote. Oh, man. Penzabene. There were so many crazy, but look, let's get back to the business at hand. The brand new album, because I'll start going down memory lane and being here crying in a minute. Smokey Robinson at WBLS. Such a pleasure to talk to you. We've been in the same room together and we broke bread together with folks, but it's just good to have this one-on-one with you. And the album GASMS available on the 29th of April. 28th of April. Yeah. The Saturday you can go get it too.
Yeah,
on the 28th of April. Make sure you pick it up. The name of the label?
TLR Records.
We'll hit you up with the website and the social media and all of that. Smokey is their place, and you're doing it now. So Corey goes, hey Smoke, you know what? I got a couple of new artists. I need you to write some songs in this, and I want you to produce it. Is that going to happen? Is there the possibility of that happening?
Yeah, I would. If you said that to me, I most certainly would. You know, Corey, when you go to his house, man, you don't see no wallpaper or nothing like that because his entire walls are covered with platinum and gold albums that he's done on everybody.
That's right.
In the record business.
That's right.
So, yeah, man, if he asked me to do that, I would most certainly do it.
Smoke did the dance on the stage, man, supporting this new situation. Everybody was hitting you up. It went viral. They had the challenge. It's like that's this new world of social media. I've noticed that you've adapted very well to it.
You know what, man? I have two young people. Their names are Savon and Carrie, who actually are in my band and sing with me and stuff like that. And they came to me a few months back and said, your social media sucks. You're not getting any action, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, okay, you guys are young, take it over. And they did, and they're working with the people from TLR and the people from Primary Wave and the people from Rogers and Cowan.
Right, right.
And, man, they have been kicking butt. I mean, I'm because I wasn't aware of all the stuff that they do.
At first, because it happened to be here. Yeah. It happened to be here when things started to change. Mm-hmm. So far as social media, I've been on it since the beginning. I did it, whatever. And you start talking to some of the folks here, the younger crew, and they start putting you up on it. And they go, "Yeah, man, this is cool, but it sucks." Oh, what the F you mean my joint? You mean it sucks? No, Bugs, don't get mad. So let me show you what I mean. When this happens, you got to do this. You got to like this. Let them know you do. When that happens and they answer you, answer them back. I said, yeah, but why should I answer them back? Said, because they just reached out to you. Exactly. Said, in order to keep that happening, because this is supposed to be your personal interaction. Exactly. That was my learning curve. Yeah. Did you have a learning curve with it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Too, man. The same thing. I'm answering people and doing all that stuff that I was unaware was necessary.
Right.
But in today's world, it's necessary.
It's necessary.
Yeah, man.
You got to be there.
Yeah.
Smokey Robinson, GASMS. Make sure you get that album the 28th of April, this Friday. He's got 9 cuts on there. That brand new single is amazing. Smokey, thank you so much for coming through.
My brother.
WBLS 107.5.
I appreciate you. God bless you.
All right, much love.
Yeah, back to you.